There's something you've felt for a while now, but you haven't told anyone. You walk into a room and people don't really notice. Your voice gets interrupted more often than not. You laugh when something isn't funny. You agree just to keep the peace. You give and give and give until there's almost nothing left of you. And deep inside, there's this quiet rage. Not loud, not explosive, but a cold, aching anger at yourself for shrinking, for dimming your light, for letting the world walk all over you. If that hit too close to home, then this video isn't just for you, it is you. Let me ask you something. Why do some people command respect without saying a word, while others have to scream just to be heard? You've probably met someone like that. They don't brag, they don't interrupt, but the moment they enter the room, everything shifts. There's weight to their silence, presence to their stillness. They don't try to win people over. And yet, everyone leans in. What do they know that you don't? The answer is ancient, Stoic, philosophical, and uncomfortable. Let's go back 2,300 years. Plato once described the soul as a chariot pulled by two horses, one noble, the other wild. The noble horse represents reason, honor, discipline. The wild one? Emotion, desire, chaos. The charioteer, you, is constantly trying to steer them both. But here's the modern tragedy. Most of us let the world hold the reins. You let a boss decide your worth. You let a lover shape your identity. You let followers, likes, comments define your value. You've handed over the chariot to strangers, and now you're wondering why your life feels so off course. Here's the uncomfortable truth. You don't need louder words. You need deeper roots. You don't need to scream for respect. You need to walk away from the noise that made you forget who you are. Let me tell you a story. It's from World War II. A man named Dietrich Bonhoeffer, a theologian in Nazi Germany, refused to bow to evil. He didn't lead an army. He didn't have millions behind him. But his moral resistance shook the conscience of a generation. His power didn't come from violence. It came from virtue held in silence. He chose death over complicity. He chose truth over safety. And yet, today, you and I struggle to even say no to people who don't respect us. What happened? You were taught that being nice means being liked. But what if being nice is just fear in disguise? What if politeness is your prison? Because here's the twist they never told you in school. Being good is not the same as being virtuous. Being agreeable is not the same as being wise. And people-pleasing isn't kindness. It's a slow spiritual suicide. Machiavelli, yes, that Machiavelli wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." But we misread that line. He wasn't saying be cruel. He was saying, don't depend on others for your strength. Let me ask you this. What happens when you stop trying to be liked? When you stop chasing validation? When you start walking away from anything that insults your soul? You become someone different. Not cold, not arrogant, but sovereign. You begin to act from values, not reactions. From stillness, not desperation. You begin to embody what the Stoics called ataraxia, inner peace that cannot be shaken by the outer world. Let me show you what that looks like in real life. When someone tries to bait you into drama, you smile gently, and you walk away. When your friend mocks your goals, you stop explaining, and you walk away. When your job pays you in stress and starvation, you stop justifying. You gather your dignity, and you walk away, not out of rage, not to prove a point, but because you've realized this. Your silence is louder than their noise. Your absence is more powerful than your presence. Your boundaries are a message. I will no longer betray myself just to belong. Now let's talk psychology. There's a term called fawning, a trauma response where you over-accommodate others to avoid conflict. It feels like love, but it's fear, and it ruins your life quietly. People start treating you as disposable because you treat yourself as optional. But healing begins the moment you stop asking, "How do I make them like me?" and start asking, "What would someone who respects themselves do right now?" The answer isn't always bold. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's just walking away. And here's where it gets really beautiful. When you finally stop chasing, you become magnetic. When you stop begging, you start attracting. When you stop shrinking, your life expands. Because people can feel it. When you're rooted in values. When your peace isn't up for negotiation. When you've stopped living for applause and started living in truth. You become the kind of person the world can't help but notice. Not because you want attention, but because you no longer need it. Let me give you one last image. In the Zen tradition, there's a concept called Wu Wei, effortless action. The sage doesn't argue with the river, he moves with it. Likewise, the wise person doesn't fight to be seen. They become so grounded, so true to themselves, that the world adjusts around them. They speak when needed. They act without noise. And when things no longer serve their soul, they walk away. And no one sees them as weak. Because strength, real strength, isn't loud. It's silent. It's steady. And it walks alone. So maybe you don't need to argue anymore. Maybe you don't need one more motivational quote. Maybe you just need to remember who you were before the world told you to be small. Maybe it's time to stop begging for respect and start living like the one who already has it. Not through noise, not through ego, but through stillness, through alignment, through walking away. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all. If this spoke to a part of you that's been quiet for too long, don't scroll away. Sit with it. And when you're ready, join us.